Power. It is one of the most intoxicating forces in human history. Empires have been built upon it, families have been destroyed because of it, and individuals have dedicated their entire lives to chasing it. But what is power, really? Is it something that naturally flows to the good-hearted, the kind, and the just? Or is it something much darker? Something that bends only to those bold enough to seize it, protect it and defend it at all cost? Niccolo Machiavelli, the Renaissance thinker whose very name has become a symbol of political cunning, had a warning for us all. His works, particularly The Prince, did not describe a world of fairness or moral justice. Instead, they revealed a raw, unfiltered reality that power, when stripped of illusions, is a battlefield where kindness alone will not save you. The title of this video, The Dark Truth of Power, Machiavelli's Warning, is not chosen lightly. Today we are not here to romanticize leadership or to offer comforting lies. We are here to confront uncomfortable truths. Truths that explain why rulers fall, why empires collapse, and why, in the struggle for influence, being good is often not enough. In this journey, we will divide Machiavelli's wisdom into 7 powerful lessons. And in this first part of our exploration, we begin with the foundations. Why virtue alone can be dangerous.
And why the eternal dilemma of fear versus love continues to shape power even today.
Part 1. Why virtue alone is dangerous. Imagine a ruler who is kind to all. He lowers taxes, forgives enemies, spares the guilty, and treats every subject with mercy. At first, the people love him. They cheer his name, praising his gentleness. But soon opportunists arise. Rivals within his court begin to scheme. Foreign leaders interpret his mercy as weakness. The people, once filled with admiration, start to demand more, pushing him into decisions that slowly unravel his control. In the end, his kingdom is left vulnerable, and his so-called virtue becomes the very weapon used against him. This is precisely the type of ruler Machiavelli warned against. He observed that those who cling too tightly to virtue, honesty, mercy, generosity, often set themselves up for ruin. It is not that these qualities are worthless, but that when practiced without caution, they make one predictable, manipulable, and ultimately replaceable. Machiavelli's advice was blunt. A ruler must appear virtuous, but be ready to abandon virtue when survival demands it. This is not hypocrisy, it is strategy. He compared leadership to a stage performance. The people see the mask of goodness, but behind that mask must be the ability to act decisively, even ruthlessly, when the state's stability is at risk. Take Julius Caesar, for example. He was beloved by many Romans for his generosity, yet his openness left him vulnerable to betrayal from the very senators he trusted. Or think of modern politics, where leaders who promise endless kindness without pragmatic strength are often swallowed by rivals who wield sharper strategies. Machiavelli's first warning is this: virtue is admirable, but power belongs to those who know when to use it and when to set it aside. Part 2. Fear versus love, the core dilemma of power. Among Machiavelli's most famous ideas lies a question that has haunted leaders for centuries. Is it better to be loved or to be feared? His answer, though unsettling, carries a brutal logic. If you cannot be both, it is safer to be feared than loved. Why? Because love is fragile. It shifts with emotions, circumstances, and convenience. People may love a leader when times are good, when benefits flow, and when promises are fulfilled. But the moment hardship strikes, that love can vanish like smoke in the wind. Fear, however, if managed carefully, creates boundaries that people are reluctant to cross. A ruler who instills respect through fear ensures a form of loyalty that is harder to shake, because people hesitate before betraying someone they fear. But Machiavelli was not advocating cruelty without restraint. He was precise. Fear must never become hatred. A hated leader faces rebellion, conspiracies, and eventual downfall. The art of leadership then lies in balance, commanding enough strength to inspire fear while still maintaining a level of respect or admiration to prevent hatred. Consider Alexander the Great. His soldiers loved him for his charisma, but they also feared disappointing him, knowing his wrath could be severe. This mixture allowed him to maintain one of the most loyal armies in history. In contrast, rulers who pursued only love, who sought only affection, often faced betrayal when times grew difficult. Even in modern life, this principle extends beyond politics. Think of the workplace. A boss who seeks only to be loved may be exploited, their kindness mistaken for weakness. A boss who rules through sheer fear may face constant resentment and eventual rebellion. But a leader who balances respect with firmness, who is approachable yet commands authority, often earns a lasting position of power. Machiavelli's warning is sharp. If you choose love alone, you risk abandonment. But if you master fear without hatred, you hold the safer path to enduring power. Part 3. The illusion of appearances. Machiavelli understood something most people are too afraid to admit. Human beings judge more by appearances than by truth. In his world, filled with treacherous alliances and endless wars, it was not the man who was virtuous who survived, but the man who appeared virtuous in the eyes of others. He wrote that rulers should cultivate the image of generosity, mercy, and faithfulness, but they must also know when to act in the opposite way. The masses rarely see what lies beneath the surface. They believe what they are shown. And this illusion, this carefully crafted performance, is often more powerful than reality itself. Consider the leaders of our time. Politicians who smile in public, promise fairness and talk of justice, while behind closed doors they make ruthless decisions to secure their dominance. Many of them survive not because they are truly virtuous, but because they are skilled actors who wear masks, convincing enough to fool the world. Machiavelli's warning is clear. Appearances can build or destroy authority. If people believe you are just, they will follow you. If they believe you are merciful, they will forgive your actions. But if you reveal too much of your true ambition, too much of your ruthless calculation, they will turn against you. This lesson forces us to ask, in our own lives, how often do we rely on appearances to secure opportunities, to maintain relationships, or to earn respect? The truth is uncomfortable, but undeniable. The world is ruled not by reality, but by perception. Part 4. Fortune and Control. Another profound theme in Machiavelli's thought is his view on fortune, what we might call luck, fate, or chance. He compared fortune to a raging river that floods unpredictably, destroying villages and sweeping away everything in its path. No one can stop the flood completely, but the wise ruler builds dams, canals, and defenses in advance to control its force when it strikes. What does this mean? Power is never built on control alone. Circumstances outside our grasp, unexpected wars, economic shifts, betrayals, or even personal tragedies will always interfere. But while the foolish surrender to fortune, the wise prepare. They build flexibility into their plans. They do not rely on luck. They prepare for the storm. History is full of examples. Napoleon Bonaparte rose to unimaginable power because he seized the opportunities fortune placed before him, yet his downfall came when he refused to adapt, pushing too far in Russia, believing his luck would always hold. In contrast, leaders who anticipate change, who plan for uncertainty, endure where others fall. Machiavelli urged rulers to be bold in confronting fortune. Fortune favors the daring, he claimed, not the timid. To seize power, one must act decisively, even recklessly at times, because hesitation often allows opportunities to vanish. This lesson is not just political, it applies to our own lives. How often do people wait endlessly for the right time to act, only to watch chances slip away? Machiavelli's warning is timeless. Fortune is wild and untamed, but it rewards those who are prepared and unafraid to act when the moment comes. Part 5. The nature of human loyalty. Perhaps one of Machiavelli's most cynical, yet realistic warnings was about human loyalty. He believed people are quick to promise loyalty when it costs them nothing. But when real sacrifice is demanded, when lives, wealth, or security are on the line, most abandon their promises. He described people as selfish by nature, driven more by their own interests than by gratitude or obligation. A ruler who depends too heavily on loyalty alone, without securing it through power, fear, or reward, risks betrayal. Look at history. Countless kings and generals were abandoned in their final hours by allies who once swore eternal faithfulness. During Rome's collapse, senators who once praised the emperor defected to rivals when they sensed the empire's weakness. In medieval courts, knights and nobles switched allegiances the moment a stronger or wealthier patron appeared. Even today, this truth plays out in workplaces, friendships, and politics. People may support you when things are easy, but when pressure mounts, many step aside to protect themselves. Machiavelli's advice was sharp. Do not build your foundation on loyalty alone. Instead, build systems of power that make betrayal costly and loyalty beneficial. Reward your allies, but never make the mistake of believing their loyalty is unconditional. This may sound cold, even cruel, but it is a lesson that prevents downfall. For in the realm of power, trust without caution is not a virtue, it is a weakness. Part 6. The ruthlessness of necessity. Machiavelli believed that the most difficult decisions a leader must make are those demanded by necessity. He wrote that rulers often face choices not between good and evil, but between two evils, where one must choose the lesser in order to survive. This idea shatters the illusion that leadership is about always doing the right thing. Instead, Machiavelli argued that rulers sometimes must commit acts that would be considered immoral in private life, such as deception, betrayal, or even cruelty, if the alternative is the destruction of the state. History is filled with examples of this principle. Winston Churchill, admired as a hero of World War II, made decisions that cost thousands of lives because he believed greater sacrifices would save millions more. Ancient generals often burned their own supplies or lands to prevent them from falling into enemy hands, punishing their own people for the sake of long-term survival. Machiavelli's warning is brutal but clear. Those unwilling to act when necessity demands it will not remain in power for long. To preserve the greater good, the leader must sometimes bear the burden of difficult, even ruthless choices. And in our modern world, this truth applies in subtle but real ways. Business leaders may have to fire workers to save a company from collapse. Parents may have to enforce strict rules to protect their children from greater harm. Leaders in every sphere must face moments when being soft is dangerous, and only hard decisions preserve the future. It is in these moments, Machiavelli teaches, that true leadership reveals itself not in comfort but in crisis. Part 7. The endurance of power. Power once gained is fragile. Machiavelli warned that keeping power requires more than the brilliance it took to acquire it. Rulers often fall because they underestimate the constant threats around them. Enemies never disappear, they wait. Allies never forget their own ambitions. They bide their time. Fortune never remains still. It shifts like the winds. A leader who relaxes, who assumes power is permanent, is already sowing the seeds of downfall. Consider the Roman Empire. It rose to unmatched heights through discipline, strategy, and ruthlessness. But over time, its rulers grew complacent. Luxury replaced discipline, pride replaced vigilance, and slowly the empire collapsed. Machiavelli's advice to rulers was relentless. Power must be defended every day. Through vigilance, through adaptability, and through constant awareness of threats, a leader can endure. But those who rest on their achievements invite rivals to take their place. Even in our lives, we see this pattern. Careers collapse when people stop learning. Relationships crumble when people stop nurturing them. Influence fades when individuals stop defending it. Endurance, Machiavelli reminds us, is not passive. It is an active fight against decay every single day. Ending. Machiavelli's final warning. We have now explored 7 warnings from Machiavelli, each one darker and more unsettling than the last. From the dangers of virtue to the dilemma of fear versus love, to the illusions of appearances, the chaos of fortune, the frailty of loyalty, the ruthlessness of necessity, and finally the endurance of power. Together, these lessons reveal a chilling truth. Power is never gentle, never simple, never safe. It demands cunning, strength, and the willingness to act when others hesitate. And yet Machiavelli's writings were not meant to strip us of hope. They were meant to open our eyes, to show us the reality of power so that we may navigate it with wisdom instead of illusions. His warning is not that we must become monsters, but that we must understand the game we are playing if we wish to survive it. In our modern age, these lessons remain alive. In politics, in business, in relationships, even in our personal ambitions, Machiavelli whispers a reminder. Appearances matter. Fear may be safer than love. Loyalty is fragile, fortune is wild, and survival often demands difficult choices. So the next time you face a test of leadership, remember this: kindness has value, but kindness alone will not protect you. Appearances are powerful, but appearances alone are fragile. Real power belongs to those who balance virtue with strength, compassion with strategy, and love with respect. Those who are willing to do what is necessary when the moment demands it. This is the dark truth of power. This is Machiavelli's warning.